Hello, YouTubers. Joe here. This is on Sunday, May 12th, about 7:30 in the evening Eastern Time. Now, as I said yesterday, I read at church, and we had a very good church service. Now we had, we'll start off with some sad news. A fellow who's been one of the, they call them priest associates in our parish, has, he had some problems here 2 months back. He had unexpected pulmonary emboli. Well, it's like, nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition, very much like they say in Monty Python, but he had unexpected pulmonary emboli. And, of course, that's in the absence of some sort of underlying problem. You always think, well, maybe that's some sort of cancer and so forth. Well, I had enough sense to keep my mouth shut on that one. That doesn't happen very often with me. But turns out this guy's got liver. Well, we don't know where the primary is, but he's got liver and pulmonary and pulmonary mets and brain mets, and maybe it's primary liver, but maybe it's metastatic liver too, and we don't know where the primary is. But in any case, this man's going to die, and he's going to die. He's going to die very shortly, and we can only pray that it's a very merciful, swift death that allows him to be somewhat unclouded in his mind. We shall see. This man's been an ordained minister for over 50 years, and his wife's a nurse, and his son's one of these trained librarians, that does all the big library stuff. Well, he's also one of the few theologically, I don't want to use the word conservative because that carries its own baggage. Theologically, I'll call it theologically true people in terms of how they interact with Scripture. And he went to Virginia Theological Seminary, which is, probably one of the few scripturally, trying to maintain scriptural truth seminaries in the United States, as opposed to it's just an advisory memorandum, depending on which one they go to. I'm going to miss him. I'm going to miss him profoundly. He was, he got up there and he gave what he called the 3-point sermon. And he said, here's my sermon. And he held it up, like on a little piece of paper. And he says, it's 3 points. That's how I was trained to give a sermon. And they were short. I grew up with sort of a cycloid sermon way of doing stuff that went round and round and round and circled back on itself for over an hour and a half or 2 hours, and I enjoyed that. But see, it wasn't quite like listening to a 2.5 hour essay. It was a way to work its way into your head, so you internalized all this scripture. Well, that's how I grew up. Now he, on the other hand, would start with a scriptural statement or two, and then, develop a proposition, and then develop an argument in the sense, the true rhetorical sense of the word argument, and you'd have this neat little package. I like both styles of preaching. I'm gonna. Oh, what a kind fellow. During his last few weeks, well, no, I'm conflating two guys with problems, but he had come back from this pulmonary embolus thing, and he had been in church a couple times, and well, he wasn't being lively, obviously, but he was there, And as somebody said, I can't remember who said, 90% of life is just showing up. I'm gonna miss him. Oh, well, anyway, his soul will flee into the presence of God. He'll know all the answers long before we do. Well, I don't know. Hopefully, long before we do. So, anyway, so we had we were letting the autistic fella play with fire today, and this guy's 8 years old, and he's profoundly smart. He's scarily smart. He reminds me of me at that age, and he's. But they're letting him handle the torch. Well, our rector likes to have torches carried about. Well, they're not candles anymore, which go out easily and often. They've got these. It's filled with kerosene. Well, it's kind of somewhat adulterated kerosene, so. Kerosene's hard enough to ignite on its own anyway, but, if you adulterate it a bit, then it doesn't burn all that rapidly. But, so he's sort of swinging this little kerosene-filled stanchion that, is made to look like a candle on a stick. Candle on a stick. That sounds like something at State Fair, doesn't it? Candlestick. And went back and forth. And, well, people who try to deal with this kid, as a normal kid, as in don't do that. Stop that. This carries no weight with this individual. He's off in his own world. I mean, he's off in his own world even more than I'm off in my own world most of the time. And so I guess it never enters his head he might burn the church down. Don't burn the church down. You don't do that. Don't really don't. It's a really neat church. Don't burn it down. And so we don't say that. You think that. I'm thinking that. I'm back there. I'm thinking that. Well, you don't dare anymore say anything to a kid, do you? No, because otherwise you're going to be, pilloried for being, well, for whatever stuff gets trumped up in the news media, don't you? So you just keep your mouth shut, sort of watch. Well, you watch unless there's so overt, imminent danger. As one woman, though, was doing her best to try to corral him, but, I could have told her that wasn't going to do any good, but, no. She's got to learn that on her own, obviously. So down we go. We process in, and so yeah. So the service actually progressed pretty well, and our seminarian Ben gave his last sermon. He's preached now 4 times in the last 9 months, 8.5, 9 months. And of course, Mother's Day. Well, I thought, well, it's going to be just awful. Well, it wasn't too awful because, you know, our previous rector, our previous actually full rector, you would have thought his mother, you know, was, well, walked on water. Well, we know there. Hi, I'm John Salenza. We only know that I'm going to start after sort of an abrupt interruption. I'll finish this tale of yesterday at church. As I said, our previous rector thought his mother basically walked on water, and you know, every Mother's Day it was just some sort of, you know, almost like a Lawrence Welk show, Ideals magazine, sickly, treacly thing about his mother and mothers in general, and this, that, and the other. Well, there are a number of people out there that perhaps haven't had really great experience with their mothers for one reason or another, even though they've done their best to try to, you know, obey the commandment, honor thy father and thy mother, whether you want to live long and prosper in the land or not. Excuse me. And so it was refreshing not to have that laid on us. Now, our seminary fellow talked about this thing in England when he was in school over there for a time called Mothering Sunday, so that people who have been mothers or acted as mothers, whether they're actually male or female, are honored on I guess the second Sunday in May. And he said it started out during and then after the First World War, when of course many mothers didn't have their sons anymore because they were wasted in that idiotic war. And so he gave a very nice account of experiences during Mothering Sunday at this church he attended while he was in school over there. So it went very well, and he's been a good guy to have around for the last, well, 9 months, and whatever church ends up snagging him when he finally graduates is going to be very, very fortunate indeed. So I'm going to leave it at that, and maybe we'll do a little editing or something here. And alrighty now, bye-bye.